Welcome back to the BSE IPO event, which we have the man of the movement, as I said, Mr. Ashish Chauhan. Let's talk about the valuations, and that is the most important part. And please correct me if you feel I'm wrong anywhere. As a student, I read it that the market cap of this company will be 4,400 crores after the listing at the upper end of the band which is coming in. If I'm not wrong, you have cash which is nearly 1,500 crores, which is in the books. You have current investments like CDSL, ICCL, GIFT City, the international exchange at GIFT City, which should be around 1,000 crores. And of course, the iconic building where we are standing, that people value whatever, at any bracket of 500, 600,000 crores and everything. So you already have 2,500, 3,000 crores of cash, non-current investments which are there. And the market cap is 4,400 crores. And that too for the oldest exchange in India and the world's largest exchange in terms of the number of companies listed. Why is that?
Basically, the pricing is, in a sense, we have gone towards book building. So the merchant bankers have gone across the world, figure out basically what kind of demand is there. And then they have presented to the selling shareholders, because this is actually offer for sale. Yes. So the brokers and other foreign shareholders and even retail shareholders who are selling, they have a committee. So these people have presented to the committee saying this is where the demand is and why this kind of demand on a particular framework is, because they tend to also look at what price earnings you are giving, also what is the future framework and so on and so forth. So on that basis, they seem to have come to this conclusion that you need to also put in something on table for the sort of investors who are coming in. It depends. It is between the current selling shareholders and also the merchant bankers who have arrived at this conclusion based on the feedback they have received.
Well, MCX market cap is bigger than BSE. NSE market cap is expected to be nearly 45,000 crores. I go by price earning ratio. MCX will be 40 times trailing basis. You are 25 times by 17 earnings. Go by price to book, NSE will be nearly 6-7 times. BSE is 1.7 times. So even if I apply any valuation metrics also, it seems that you're coming at a very reasonable valuation or a cheap valuation. Don't you feel bad? I really don't understand, what were you thinking in terms of pricing this issue?
No, see, pricing for me is once you go towards sort of a book building, you need to respect the process, right? If it was a fixed price, then it could have been a different pricing. And for me, once it lists, it will find its own sort of numbers at some stage, right? And that's why you are not too worried about when you list. It is on a steady state basis, what kind of growth you have, what kind of profits you are giving, what kind of consistency you have, and what kind of control in costs you have, what kind of projects you have which can give you returns. And so today we are not listed, other people are listed, and people may have perceptions and so on and so forth. So that's where I look at it more philosophically, saying when you list, that's not your end goal, right? You have next 140 years to survive and thrive, and so you need to plan for next 140 years. And I always, when any company comes to list to BSE, after the ringing of bell, I take...
There's a 10 times difference between BSE and NSE in terms of valuation. That is what I'm grappling with, that's all.
No, it's only initial, right?
Initial.
They will find their own, water will find its own place. So I tell all my promoters who, after the listing, I take them aside and say, don't do your business looking at the prices. And similarly, I don't do the business looking at the stock market prices. It has to do its own work, we have to do our own work.
Okay, I'll ask you a philosophical question. As you said, that you also tend to talk more about that. Where did you see that BSE went wrong in the last 5-10 years? And even to correct that, what do you think the steps you are taking to have a prosperous future for the exchange?
See, over 20 years, when the stock exchanges were broker-owned, broker-operated democracies, internationally across the world and also across India, there was no problem. When new exchanges came which were CEO-oriented, no politics, they didn't have to have elections and all, they could focus on the work, no conflict of interest. So that was BSE was like India and NSE was like China. They could decide and move forward. In BSE, they had to actually do a lot of actions and reactions and so on and so forth. So I think the organization structure framework, which got resolved only in 2012, in fact, the allegations of conflict of interest with brokers on board actually went away only in 2012.
Okay.
Second thing is in 2000, when the derivatives were allowed, BSE decided not to participate wholeheartedly. And that, I think, was the biggest mistake looking back 15 years. And then when the currency derivatives allowed, again in 2007-8, BSE did not participate. Interest rate derivatives, BSE did not participate. So effectively, I think 2000 to 2013 was a kind of a lost decade or more and then now we are trying to catch up in technology, which we have done very well. Today we are much faster. In terms of the newer products, we are now, of course, last 4 or 5 years, whatever is allowed, we are doing exceedingly well compared to anyone else. In terms of even the older businesses, we are taking very large market share in currencies, interest rates and all. So effectively, if you lose as an organization 10-15 years in a very fast-moving fintech industry, you would have to catch up. Good thing about BSE is it's a great brand name. It also has a great team now, people who have worked before in this industry, and also the products which are now sort of coming up, newer projects like GIFT City and others. So overall, I think for me there is much more hope today, much more excitement in BSE today, in the brokers, in employees, everywhere than ever before.
You know, people also talk about LEAPS, LEIPS, you know, the derivatives and what you started. It kicked off very well, but you know, it ended, very soon in 2 or 3 years. How was your response to that? Were you happy with what happened?
See, what happened is when the new management came in around 2009, that time they tried to analyze where things are wrong, and they would have asked a lot of people, and they said you need to focus on derivatives. And then they said, how does it work in other parts of the world? So they looked at it. They went to SEBI. They took the approval for creating an incentive scheme, which was largely about defraying the cost of STT for market makers. That market makers had to give two-way quotes, and they end up paying money on STT. So that is how they started. Ended up spending some money, and then the exchange realized that if you continue to put in money, people trade, but as soon as you take away the sort of incentives, people go away. And that was not sustainable. But what it did was very interesting. It got a lot of people, almost 700-800 members, connected to BSE's derivatives who had never come for almost 12-13 years.
Yeah.
And that helped BSE. When it started the currency derivatives, people were already ready. So they ended up plugging into the currency derivatives, and now currency derivatives become successful. So what you invested in something else actually ended up giving you benefits into currency and interest rates and all. So I take it in terms of positives, saying that it was not only learning, it got people back into BSE, which was very, very important.
You know, most of the people don't know, but even BSE dividend yield, I think, which people are loving PSUs because the dividend yield has been higher. And for BSE, I think you have a dividend yield of at least 4 or 5% in the last many, many years. The dividend payout policy is very strong from your side, right?
And we, in heart of our heart, we take ourselves as a public utility. And we are basically a stable business in terms of the framework. Our fixed costs generally get taken over by our fixed income. And the variable income, if it goes up, very good. And if it doesn't, still the profitability will kind of not be in question ever in future. And that ends up telling you that you also have a very large balance sheet. You have projects which will be taken care of by the balance in your balance sheet. So you don't need that much money. We end up paying out as dividends, and that's how our board has kind of been very generous, and our investors also are pretty happy on that.
Well, I can tell you all guys, okay, that here's a rebirth of a re-energized, exchange in front of you. I have never seen so much of confidence, back here at BSE, and you have invested via BSE since last many, many years. It is time to invest in BSE now. Thank you, Ashish, for joining CNBC TV18 and showing what BSE was and what BSE will be in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.